Oh, sorry to everybody who's waited. We're not expecting a big audience tonight because we pissed everybody around because of our technical problems. It's just been a flipping
Well,
nightmare. There's us trying to get
if we
maps and
couldn't hear you,
OBS. And
but
been an
here's the
absolute.
thing, Shaun, you have a friend who is an
Yeah,
excellent lighting guy.
we do. Yeah, we're a bit late. I've got to be honest. I'm not the best tech guy. We've got new software. We're going to be throwing maps in and bits and pieces as we go on and do more podcasts. As you can see, the quality of the pictures generally pretty good. So we're going to be doing a lot more. Let me clean my glasses. But we just had a manic 10 minutes of trying to
While
get
you do it,
everything
well,
up
we
and
just
running.
finished a good long hour plus interview with our friend Alan, so we weren't busy.
Bruce.
So let's say hi to Deborah and Sherry and Nancy Lee and Laura and Lily and Brittany and MJ and Michelle and EM Wood. And I see Christine is here, and Barbara, and they got Adam here, of course, and Karen and Ross Anderson.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
John
That's pretty nice. First
Tomlinson
time I've
just
used
joined
it.
in. That's buddy John, who does good aid work. Good bro. And I'm Chris Sampson here in Kyiv. Actually, I got the studio cooled down a bit because it was a hell of a week, but we've had a little bit of a break in the heat, so it's been able to be good in the studio. And then good brother Shaun, how you doing down there in Dnipro?
Right, it's hot, like living on the sun. It's been that sort of hot. It's crazy hot. Yeah, it's you can imagine being in the trenches right now with body armor and helmets and boots and ammunition and grenades, and it's probably about 40 degrees in the trenches out on the plains, and you just with drones and everything else flying in. So it's a pretty uncomfortable time for those sorts of for people fighting on the front lines at the moment.
Well, I have a little bit of an update. We got bombed a lot this week. What's going on with you?
We got bombed a lot this week. Yes. I mean, where do you want? I mean, the biggest thing for me, I think, is been the lack of interceptors. I mean, that's going to be the biggest news of the week. Is that 4.5 years in, we've run out of the very things that take out the ballistics. I mean, that's pretty crazy. From where we sit, I mean, we've been trying to play down the successes of balancing that.
This is our current weather report, my friend.
Ooh, that's not good.
That means also for our viewers, looking at your area, you have some activity.
Yeah, it's been pretty quiet in for us in Dnipro, but
Yeah.
Kyiv's been getting it. I mean, we've been on. We covered the marches last week. I think that was pretty well covered. We covered the marches, and then we got. I mean, you're seconds away in Ukraine for being in a multi-casualty scenario. I mean, that's what we found ourselves in on Saturday. You know, we were the first on the scene, and out of 27 ballistics that came in, only one was hit, and one landed. I got a picture of that actually. Let me see if I can draw it up for you. Chris took a lovely picture over the other side of the river. Can you see that? That's a cracking picture, that, Chris. You took that?
Let's see what we got.
You got there we go. You got the picture there. You took a lovely picture of it came in about 1 kilometer from the house. And we went to go look for it. It was about a kilometer and a half from the house. However, and I say a big however, by the time you've walked to it, got to it, and dived around and taken all the dead ends and everything else, it was about 3 kilometers by the time we got there, and yeah, exhausted. But we were the first on the scene, and oh my God. I mean, it's like you've got to go around in the dark. You've got to check casualties. You've got to search the area. And when we got there was a night watchman who looked absolutely disorientated, absolutely shocked, who told us there were people inside the building, and there were cars parked outside. We couldn't actually get inside the building because the place was literally on fire. you don't really want to go diving into the factories because I'm trying to fill in because I think we just lost Chris. But we're literally, I've been frozen image. I have frozen image. Ah, interesting. So can somebody tell me if they can hear me? Can you hear me? Ah, here he is. I think he's back.
Okay, I guess it was my end. All right.
It was your end. Yeah, I've just been backfilling. I said I think we've lost Chris. So I was talking about with the missile that came in and landed a kilometer and a half from where we were staying, and we were first on the scene, and really it was about 3 kilometers by the time we got there. And because we had to take a walk to it, take wrong turns, try and
Now,
find
Shaun,
where
I
the
have to tell you, let's not screw our viewers over here without the best version of that story. Ready? I'll do it in Ukrainian. Yeah, мій брате, я ходив це будинок, це. І я сказав недалеко. І він сказав: "Ну, я думаю, тут дуже далеко." Я сказав: не дуже далеко." Let me translate. So my friend and I, we went to the place that where the attack was, with the building. Yeah, exactly. And I said, well, it wasn't that far. And my friend says, no, I think it is that far. And I said, no, I don't think it's that far. There's the Ukrainian version. Ta-da!
yeah. Yeah, I said it might look that far from 20 stories up, but by the time you've gone around zigzagging all the way to it, it's going to be about 3,
The
4 kilometers.
benefit of the
It was.
eagle's nest.
So yeah, I told him when we got there. I told our guests when we got there. There was a disorientated night watchman who told us there were people inside the building who looked a bit shaken up. It blew out the windows and doors and walls 40 meters, probably 50 meters around where it hit. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can do. You can only search the perimeter and look for casualties. There's no way you're going in there. If that's a factory that has been targeted and you don't know what's in there, that if you go walking around in there, things could explode. So you don't really want to, you're waiting for the emergency services to turn up. So we could only do what we could do. But we were probably about 40 minutes to an hour before, and we were the first people there. It's fair to say that we have press passes that allow us to go outside of curfew time to report an incident. So nobody was going out to it. So we found ourselves first on the scene, and it's quite an eye opener for me. Actually, been out here 8 years, realizing how quick one incident could turn into a very bad situation. And there were like, oh yeah, that was it. 27 ballistics that came in, and we were sitting at the epicenter of it. So it was pretty bad at the weekend, and yeah, I mean it's a shit state we're in now that we don't have interceptors to take these out, and we've got winter coming. It's August now. Soon winter will start. Autumn will start turning into getting cold, and yeah, it's a worrying prospect to think that we don't have any answers for interceptors. Now we've got North Koreans coming in and with bringing in over 100 ballistics and crews and another possibly, if your reports or anything to go by, another 30,000 North Koreans coming in. To put it into context, that's on top of the 30,000 that came in last year, that's a bigger contingent than the whole of the British Army fighting the teeth of the British Army, including the Marines. So, yeah, it's that's not helping Russia with a little bit of manpower. That's a substantial force coming in, or possibly another 500,000 Russians being recruited by the end of the year.
Well, and the other thing is
I could give you some good news.
Yeah, that is the good news, right?
That's the good news. So we're going to go on to the even shittier news.
Well, I mean, I think that, for instance, last night having, I'm trying to see if this is the right one or not.
It might be worth saying to people that when air defense goes off, the jammers go off, plays havoc with the Wi-Fi and electrics here, and everything goes a bit skew-whiff. So
yeah, I'm looking. I have a bunch of recent attack videos, so I'm trying to see which one is the correct one. But I posted on my timeline, so friends will, you should be able to see it there. The cluster munitions issue is a big deal. Actually, hold on. I'm saying I don't have it. In fact, I will have it. One moment. I do have that.
That's not it.
No, it's not it, but it'll be on that drive. And in
Yeah, the
fact,
cluster
while I
munitions
look
came
for
in
it,
2 nights ago. 2 nights ago, the cluster munitions came in.
correct.
Yeah.
And the problem at hand is, of course, that um, when you go into, hold on a second. If you live in these zones, then you're going to have a problem with, yeah, I'm gonna have to send it to myself. Hold on. So I'll do it this way. I'm gonna bypass and take over my own setup there. A lot of programs on the other side is wanting to chill and freeze up on me.
How much does Starlink cost per
How
month?
much fun, right? How much fun.
How much does Starlink cost? I don't really know, actually. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you on that, to
Oh,
be fair.
an individual unit?
Yeah. Hi, Alan. Just left you. You're all or nothing. You come back again. Oh, it's done an hour with you. As you can see, the camera's working now, Alan, but we had a bit of a hiccup at the start, but it's working now. Oh, have we lost Chris again? Oh,
Yeah,
I'll get
mine
him back.
doesn't want to come back on.
That's weird. So
The
I'm gonna break out
cameras,
my tap dancing routine. It's nothing like live, is it? Live is
right?
like, it's just horrendous. Yeah, we're gonna
We
get
should
really
just go
good at
straight to
this
the camera.
because we've literally I have had like a 2-day course in OBS and broadcasting now, so it's like I'm still I'm still getting around the new system, so we can start adding all this funky stuff because we got to start showing you some maps and some footage we've taken, which is gonna be exclusive to us on this chat on Voices from the Front and the Wiretap. And we're gonna be start showing you some clips of what we're taking and, uh, within reasons, we have to be very careful. Like I got, some footage of the actual, rocket coming in and hitting, the residential area that you're seeing now. And, we I can't put that up anywhere, because it's skyline, it's residential areas, it tells the Russians where it's hit, and so we have to be very careful about what we show. I mean, even in Dnipro last week, I showed Chris, but I'd only got back from Kyiv, and I walked straight into another attack in Dnipro with, what looked like interceptors going up to meet jet drones that were coming in, and that was quite interesting to see because I have not seen that in Dnipro before. So it's I don't know what to say
I
other than
ruined the camera. Sorry, I'm back.
really, yeah, you're back.
Motherfucker. OBS
What's
tried to
that?
lock up on me because that video that I told you. Remember what I said when we were having our lessons about using OBS? I said, do
Yeah.
not give it 4K video. It will go, eh. But what it did is I have two browsers. So I have one here in front of me. I can see you in this wonderful crowd. You guys are so patient with us. And then I have a laptop side where I can see all of the helm stuff. And the moment I threw that 4K video in there, I went, really? Yeah,
Mm.
let me show you molasses. And so thank you for your patience, everybody. We are back. I will
Right.
outsmart the gears one way or the other.
I was gonna break out my tap dancing routine, just, and that's just we wanna keep people, not send people away.
We have
So,
wonderful crowd. We have wonderful friends. They're so good to
we
us.
do. You are back, Chris. What about me?
You were
Yeah,
awesome,
so
bro. You had that under control. I wasn't worried at all.
did it look like it? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, we covered the protest. What else have we been doing? Covered the protest. We was in a missile strike. It's been a pretty hectic week, really. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I usually have a bit of an issue here and there to pick a bone with. So
Oh.
thankfully, the Senate passed a Senate bill that is called the Big Tough Sanctions Bill or something for Lindsey Graham. And there was a tariff Trojan horse inside this thing. And this made it to print as how dare Senator Warnock, that terrible person, hold up all the aid, which was not a thing. And within 24 hours, it had already.
And he's gone again. It's a bloody nightmare. We're gonna have to get this sorted. He's just disappeared again. Where it is?
There we
And
go.
he's back.
Okay.
And he's back in the room.
With an attitude problem. So an op-ed, and I'm not going to worry about who said what, said that this lone senator is upholding aid for Ukraine. One, it's not aid, it's sanctions. Two, it was over tariffs. It was over giving tariffs to a guy who's already abused tariffs. And it is a Trojan horse in the bill. Different than a poison pill. Remember, a poison pill in legislation kills legislation. A Trojan horse is, oh, yeah, you want to save those children in Africa? Well, you're going to have to give the tax breaks to my super billionaire friends first. That type of shit. So when we don't tell the Ukrainian or Western or non-American audience these things in articles, we are being dishonest. But why is it certainly egregious right now? Because now the process, if we all remember our basic American civics, and I'm sure that's taught in every school in Rivne, then we know that it has to go to the Senate. I mean, you go from the Senate to the House, and the House is not interested in that right now. The House is not even in session, and the House just voted more against Ukraine in June 4th, 2026, than it did in April 2024, which was the last substantive vote. This matters when we have the people coming here who are like the MAGA speakers, or what do you call it, MAGA whisperers. MAGA whisperers. You need to get on the phone with your friends,
I
and you
didn't even
need
know
to
that was
say,
a thing.
yeah, well, we just coined it because we're good like this, and we have better technology right now for a
We
moment.
do. Hope.
And so, great lighting director somewhere on one side. So we have a way where we can do the lobbying with people who do understand those parts of the country. If you're in Idaho and you're in Ohio and you're in Arizona and you're in New Mexico and places where things are built, you have a good chance to go to your district neighbors and say, hey, we have an artillery factory here. We have a Patriot manufacturing here, the PAC-3 missiles, for instance. We don't need, we can always use more Patriot batteries at $1 billion each, but it would be great to fill them up to do the thing we paid to have them do. So as an American who is glad those things are here, I don't like that they are empty, because it sort of means like we just wasted all of that we put here. If we arm them and we keep them full, then it justifies why we have them here. It saves lives and it employs Americans. Those votes where more people went against Ukraine in June, just a month ago, a little over a month ago now, they have to be converted in those people who keep coming here and say, hey, I understand now how Ukraine works. I want to help in America and I want to get Patriots. Well, there you go.
I love Patriots at the moment. It's a grim prospect thinking we're going to go into winter with no interceptors. How are you going to keep last winter was grueling. How are you
Yeah.
going to keep the electricity going? How are you going to keep the production lines going, the weapons production lines going? How are you going to keep people warm and fed if you don't have any interceptors to take out? The long-term projects are looking good, but they're not going to come online until February, maybe of next year. So what are we doing for the the near term? What are we going to do for the winter? Nobody's got any answers yet. Nobody's saying anything.
Yeah, I think that one will be a rummage sale. I think you're going to see Ukraine working with all the partners. Like, I haven't poured over all of the data from the Turkish announcement today, but Turkey just announced a whole bunch of stuff they're willing to help Ukraine with. That's awesome. It has to come from the American will. Now, Laura, who's one of our most keen viewers, by the way, we've got a lot of keen viewers here. I love saying these names because they're here with a lot. So we know our audience, and we were discussing that earlier. But U.S. has run low our own munitions for Trump's Iran war. We're low on missiles. So a couple things. The missiles that the Trump administration has been launching to fight the war with Iran are mostly not the missiles used to do what we do here. There are some in cases where they are. But, like, we would love to have Tomahawks. I mean, if anyone wants to send some Tomahawks, which is actually what they're using to shoot at children's schools in Iran, we could do different things with them, and they wouldn't be hitting children's schools. But that's not what we're shooting. The
Chris,
type of missiles.
Did he give Biden 300 billion of weapons? Did he, Chris?
Exactly.
Did he, Chris?
By the way, you
Did
hear
he?
that? That means that we have an escalated air raid. If y'all heard that, yes. That means it's not just, that means at any moment the air raid here in Kyiv will go off, and the chance of something going boom near your host is pretty high. Last night, we actually had the missiles the air raid go off. It was after 12 something, about maybe close to 1 o'clock. And almost immediately, no problem.
I go now.
Yeah. Almost immediately, we had air defense. Not air defense. We had missiles come in with no air defense. Immediately, 6 rockets back to back. And if I knock that way again, the dogs downstairs are going to bark. Wonderful dogs. They're so attentive to every little sound I ever make. If I so much as crack the little bone in the back part of my ankle to make it feel better, they're like, someone's at the door. So imagine how they feel during, air catastrophe events. We had 6 missiles land directly near where my electrical power facility exists, not too far from us. Not too far. Kilometer away. Is that camera being stubborn again?
Ooh, it is.
Look at that.
What's going on?
You got eye tracker on.
We're back in there. Let me go and turn.
It is great. But we love it, man. We're getting it. We're getting it. Yeah. Change the color balance to 5,000 and we're good.
Holy shit. You couldn't have gone for a worse trial episode, could you?
It's okay. Because look at our bro. Don't he look good? And he sounds good too.
It looks good. It looks amazing when it works.
Yeah.
The trouble is, I'm 2 hours from the front, and anything can rattle the Wi-Fi or, the internet. The jammers kick in. My car, honestly, when the jammers kick in, it tells my phone it's in Peru, Lima.
Yes.
And I still go down to the garage and check to make sure it's there. It's like it's crazy. So that's how much the ECM electron.
Well, actually, let me address something in that. So I just got back from driving across. I wasn't driving. I was almost killed in the back seat. No, so not that I'm bitter or anything, but the line behind Sumy and the line from Mykolaiv to Dnipro. You saw a lot of devastation at the gas stations. I saw a lot of the nets across the road to protect from attacks. And in particular, one of the things that was really, really fucked up is whenever we would have air raid, which was like all the time, you're trying to navigate. And if you're trying to do it like in Kharkiv where you're supposed to meet someone and you're in an area you don't normally travel all the time, and you're trying to do it with 2, shall we say, taxi drivers who are 70 years old and it's their post-pension job, and they don't speak Ukrainian, they speak Russian. So, no, they don't have GPS either. And it's sort of here, but not here. But I think it's over there. No, but I think it's over here. Yeah, this went on to the point of trying to just stay calm And I'm a natural like map guy. I'm actually I'm an amateur cartographer. I'm in print for developing maps, no less. I can get around a lot of places, but not at 35 miles an hour while everything else is going on. Where if you don't if you stop to do anything, you're a target. Like behind the line in Sumy. And we were talking earlier in a different program, we were talking about what it's like around Sloviansk and those lines between, Izium and Sloviansk and Kramatorsk and Liman. Is it's the same problem in Sumy. When you go outside of Kharkiv and you try to get from Kharkiv to Sumy, you're going to be running pretty much parallel to that border for quite some time. And you go into checkpoint status almost immediately. And long areas of see, I keep thinking Ukrainian nets, silkies, as we call them. And if you miss one gas station because it's been blown the hell up, you got to go to the next one that's also been blown the hell up to go to the next one that's also been blown the hell up, so you can get a little fuel.
Yeah, they hit a couple into Dnipro too, actually.
Yeah, you got a whole line from Dnipro to Mykolaiv that's loaded with being destroyed.
Zap's on the way down to Zap. Yeah, Zap's getting smashed at the moment with cabs. It's pretty bad all the way along the front. There's not really much good to report at the moment. You imagine, as we talked about in the other show, we talked about the bad timing.
One right there is God hates you, Chris. You will be okay. It's why I'm still here. In fact, thank you.
The cabinet reshuffle was such a bad timing. Just before that, the wind was at our backs. We couldn't do no wrong. Crimea was is being strangled. The land corridor was getting hit. We had the cabinet reshuffle, and then within a couple of weeks, it's now we haven't got any interceptors, and the North Koreans are here. And it's like they're bringing over. It's fair to say that Russia's firing more ballistics now into Ukraine than it can actually produce domestically. So where is it getting the additional ballistics from to keep that momentum up? Why is nobody fucking asking that question? Because it's coming from North Korean stockpiles. So that's why you're seeing everything get bombed, while Putin now takes advantage of the fact we got no interceptors. And this is something that was foreseeable, that we were warning about, trying to play down without sounding negative when people were saying Ukraine is winning and the tide is turning. We were saying, oh, hold on a minute. We've just brought it back to a level playing field. We're not taking away any, credit for the successes. And that's amazing. We've got to get the initiative back on some parts of the front line, but winning, no, it's exceptionally violent, exceptionally dangerous. The bomb is escalated in the cities. Putin is now doing drone sieges in places like Kherson, soon to be probably Zaporizhia. Sumi's getting smashed as well by guide bombs. That stuff is escalating considerably, and now we're at 2022 casualty figures. So when people sort of say we're winning, I'm like, what? It's like not the case at all.
Well, one of the things that's really, I've taken heat for this, and I kind of don't care on a certain level. I care for the stories that it affects. But I said early on that people abroad who want to support need to listen to people in country, and don't be butthurt when you get corrected on course. It's a war. It's not a daycare camp. We're not at a music school. All the things I used to do. So all the fun stuff in the world, you can have that sort of respective slowing down. This being a soldier. If you have a colleague, you have a mate that you're in the trench with, you're out there on the battlefield with, and they turn around and yell at you to get your shit together, like really, really for a moment. You're not paying attention to something, right? If you're fighting in the same direction towards the same, enemy, and same objective, then you'll be fine, And yet we had people who literally went butthurt level if someone in country, and not just me. So it was really easy to just say, it didn't have to be me. I could have said nothing. I have said nothing about so many events going on between the outside world and the inside world, so that when I do finally say something, at least has impact. And even then, not allowed to. Well, we're trying to do best we can. We're trying to. I get up in the morning and I bonk and I raise in its defense and all that. Now the problem is it doesn't save lives here. If it saved lives here, you wouldn't be hearing from me. You're hearing from me because what's happening on the outside world does not match what we see in country. And that includes, especially like most recent example, just to keep it real simple, is when people on the outside start telling me what the guys and ladies on the street mean. Like, you remember there was some moron on Facebook that was attacking me on your post because we're buddies, So, and she's Ukrainian. I do know she's Ukrainian, but she's like, those people are brainwashed and they're just trying to destroy things. And I'm like, I could tell from what she was saying, like, but you don't know anyone there, or you already have a contempt, which is
Yeah.
another category. Because one, we talked to people there. We heard what people were saying. We were in the crowd. We interviewed people. When I was in Dnipro in Mykolaiv to cover the protest there, I aired it to this audience. We could hear what they were saying. We could hear, I knew people in Kyiv during the time I was down south who were in those rallies who were absolutely not like what we call Petra implants. Petra means Poroshenko. In other words, people were saying online, including some Ukrainians, that this was manufactured to topple Zelensky's approval because now's not the time. That the fact that it was so inorganic was easy for us to see. But I have to admit that I have to listen to you, those of you who are watching abroad. How you see things does matter to those of us living here, because we still have to climb through that web. We still have to climb through that noise and that garbage, because we have to get the message out one way or the other. Which reminds me, subscribe to Shaun's account. Pay if you can to his account. Pay to this account if you can, wiretap, and help us to be accountable to achieving goals with information, because the Crimean Beach Party phase of NAFO felt good to get us through. And I can't blame the outsiders, because in town, I call it the Stefania phase, when my soldier friend says, yeah, exactly. Stefania, Mama, Stefania. And we were all great on it. We were like loving Ukraine. Oh, yeah, lose it. Totally got it. Totally down with it. Until lives are piling up and complications of not getting all the weapons, and the change, the situation of having yet now an ambassador essentially locked up, charged for, financial, corruption.
Irregularities.
How did you get a house that's above your pay grade there, Olga? So
6 of them.
6 of them. It's my mom's house. Sure. Now, the thing is that the good news is that I don't remember anyone taking an ambassador out that was going from the United States to Ukraine and putting them in jail. I don't remember anyone locking up the top assistant to Donald Trump, who was basically on the graft. I don't remember any of those people being, frog marched in front of a court like I did see with the Ukrainians. So at least Ukrainians know how to keep their people accountable. And I dropped the mic.
You're finished now, have you? No, I agree. I mean, it's if we built a defensive plan on Putin's going to die of a mysterious illness next year, or the Russian economy is going to collapse, you only have to turn on YouTube, and your first thing you'll see is Russia's economy is going to collapse, or Putin's going to die next week. And even
He's
when I did,
goiter. Did you see he's got a goiter?
I did see
which hold on, Shaun, which Putin are we talking about?
Oh man, don't they look now they've all aged? Don't they look different? Have you not thought that? They look so different.
All look
You've
like
got
a belly peeled potato to me,
athletic,
so I'm a little bit lost.
slightly athletic Putin, you've got Botox Putin, you've got really old limpy Putin, and somewhere along the line, you've got sort of disheveled, I look like I've had a special military operation for 4 years, and it's all gone Pete Tong Putin. So there's at least 5 Putins for sure.
Exactly.
But you can see him.
I do want to remind people there's something very, very important to remember around here. and that's always practice your reading skills.
Oh, you're the one that's got it. Ah, okay.
Okay, so
Somebody said
please
on
don't
your
forget
list
to do that.
there, are the North Koreans well trained? It doesn't matter because there's like millions of them, 30,000 maybe coming over. And then on the back of 500,000, we're sort of at the scenario as a joke we used to say in the army, if you had a bull and 1,000 angry ducks, uh, who would win? We're sort of that scenario. It doesn't matter if people are undertrained, if they can pull a trigger, and you've got a considerable amount of people. Do we have the equipment to take them out? This is uncharted territories, if you ask me. I'm kind of hoping we've got a defensive shield, but at the moment we don't have any interceptors to take out ballistics. How that's going to affect us through a winter, I don't know, and it's probably going to be at the end of this year when he does decide after the elections in September to take on another 500,000 Russians. Maybe I think he'll take on more. I don't think he's going to have a second bite at this, so he's going to try and get as many as he can. I think you're looking at 800 to 1,000,000. He'll probably forcibly conscript, because that's the way it's gearing up now. It's gearing up with a long, protracted war of attrition using basically a coalition now of Iran and North Korea, and they launched from Belarus. Plus, he's got the Federation. How much China's involved is beggars belief, but there will be no peace this year. I'm pretty sure of it. So it's I wish we had more news. We are still hitting, the land
Oh,
corridor.
we
We
have
are
good
still,
news. We have
trying
wild berries is getting hit. Oil facilities are getting
libraries,
hit.
yeah, all facilities are getting hit.
Oil, the not just the corridor in Crimea. There were actually several base locations that were hit in Crimea that have made news. I have
Absolutely.
been working on a report of the first 7 months and the last month using some data, which we will talk about in another program, just me and the audience, or I guess if you want to come on and talk about it with it, we can, where I use Claude, Claude, ChatGPT, and Telegram exports to harvest about 12 different accounts with straightforward data, raw data. This got hit. There's an air raid. This 5 drones are moving across here, and it's sometimes by the minute. Like literally, the accounts we look at to track incoming drones. Like right now, my phone keeps going crazy with it. So as it moves those, it talks about launch points, and what I want to see is how is Russia adapting its war. And you could do that on paper as well. That's why I'm using a certain set of math that I've already done in physical notebook form. But I want to see what it looks like coming into the end of summer, because we're going to see we're going to have to see how it goes forward. And I'd like to share with the audience, because I think that when people talk about AI usage and other tools like that, we should be clear. How are they used? What are you doing? What's the results? Can you scientifically back it up with the good scientific method, where repeatable phenomenon, as we say.
Yeah, we need some good
We,
news. I
the
mean,
plural we. I've learned it from you British people. I just pluralize who I am to say we. It sounds more like austere.
you sound like Austin Powers to a degree. I've told you that before.
Oh, baby.
Oh,
You guys are great. How many imposters are there for Putin? I don't know, but I think it's always funny how
mm.
many different variations I see the descriptors. When Ukrainians especially have fun with it, they'll say, "Well, didn't you notice like the cheekbones?" Or it's always a little different.
Oh,
How they
Botox
indicate
Putin sticks out like
the
a do you
Botox.
know their life expectancy must be around main Putin. If he dies, they must be, like, cacking themselves. They're gonna be executed, go missing, thrown off a building, drink some poison tea. I don't know how they do it there,
Yeah,
but
the gravity
surely they're
problem.
not.
Speaking of gravity problems, I got to enjoy one of my first fucking jokes I ever wrote. So
Go on.
back when we were in Moschun, we had what used to be VDV paratroopers who did not make it. So I wrote a punchline way back then. I said, "Yeah, that's Boris. Yeah, best jumper in all of VDV, not the best lander." And variations like that. Well, did you see that guy that went jumping out on Paratrooper Day?
It's, thank you. I didn't
Landed
realize
so well, top of his class, best lander of all time.
I
Smack, and
didn't
there
rea
goes. There goes Donald. There goes. I was going to say Donald Trump's parade. There goes Putin's parade. Did you guys see that? You didn't see the
Yeah.
paratrooper who fell to his death? Russian blood.
To be honest, that I didn't see many of my jumps. I never saw many fatalities or accidents or anything when I was jumping. I've done like 9 jumps with D-12 Soviet parachutes, out of helicopters here, and
But you're a
those
real
things. My one
person.
was as
I'm not
old as
talking about
me.
those. Yeah, I'm not talking
Mine
about
was
those
like
they
nine.
prop up and throw them out the plane. Here, Boris. Yeah, blood. Yeah.
It's okay. We've got another million more.
Cash Patel could never do that multiple body double thing. Yeah, that is so true. We're not going to have like a bunch of. Is that the real Cash Patel, or is that the I? No.
Yeah, there's no. You're never going to get those eyes on anybody else.
Aziz
The
Ansari
little
is like
dodgy eye.
Aziz Ansari is freaking out. What you talking about, man? You know the comedian that plays him on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love the Lego man of him. It's just
Oh my god!
hilarious. The Lego man. I mean, you
I'm
shouldn't
not
laugh.
supposed to love
At it.
Iranian propaganda, but I sort of do.
No, but I mean, they excelled at the Lego man. The Lego scenarios they were just so hilarious.
Oh, well, here's
You
another
you
thing.
should laugh.
It's not on topic of Ukraine, but we might as well go there because we know shit. Um, I wrote an article that says it's not just the conventional warfare you got to look at. And by the way, remember how quickly we marched into Iraq? Yeah, this is not Iraq, bro. This is here's what they have. And the number one thing I was emphasizing was the ability to use hybrid warfare, terrorism, and hackers. Well, guess what? I was right. They're using those things, and we're fucking flat-footed. So the hackers have been
Yeah.
active, and this matters when it comes to like not listening to bullshit artists that don't at least go, what about the hackers?
Well, I mean, we've had it's everything at the moment. It's the craters in Poland, and Germany's just had its own incident with Semtex. Not every not every day available, explosive Semtex. So there's a lot going on at the moment. Excuse me.
It's okay. You've been
Yeah.
working hard.
Oh, we just done like an hour session. Now we're going to do another hour session. I didn't realize it's International Cats Day either. Thank you very much. I will pass on
What?
to Loki. Yes, I will pass on to Loki. No wonder I think that's what he's been talking to me about
He's got an
today.
attitude today for that reason. No wonder.
He keeps climbing on the new hardware that I've bought. So he keeps climbing on top of the laptop. He wants to sleep on the laptop, which is kind of irritating when you're trying to do a podcast. But that's Loki, 7 kilos of, and he's only 10 months old. So he's a big lump. But yeah, I didn't realize there was an International Cat Day, to be fair.
I assume that they had every day and they were allowing the rest of us to have something.
Human Day. Yeah.
Cats.
That's,
Yeah.
that's a cat. Yeah.
We have a what? Oh, sure, man. I like that recently someone said that cats don't see us as humans. They see us as other variations of cats that are a little dumb.
I saw that. Too on Instagram.
So true.
Said,
Hell yeah.
They have enemy and cat. That's all they see. So they just look at me and they go, "That's a big, fat, overweight, slow cat." That's how Loki looks at me, And there's another thing they said was, if you just tune in, we're not talking about Ukraine now. We're talking about cats, which is deeply sad. But
So you
my cat
say this could be code.
talks to me because I'm its parent, and they don't talk to other cats the same way. They only talk to their mums and dads like that, apparently.
I had a sheriff deputy that said you couldn't train cats. He likes dogs, because you can't train cats. And my now late cat, God bless her soul, sweet as she was. No, hey, come here. And I basically told my little fluffy Torty to come running up and jump up in my arms, and she did exactly on cue.
You can,
and what I love about that is most cats will go, I could do it right now, but then he would feel victorious. And see, I'm not going to do that right now. And that's very cat to do that part. See that, but they understand the trick. So Loli, come here. Loli looked at me real quick, ran down the sidewalk, jumped in my arms, and said, "So you say." And actually, it was a very
Yeah.
nice deputy. To be honest, it was a very nice deputy helping me pick a female pit bull that had gotten under the house, and all I wanted was to make sure it was properly secured. And I also said, if you so much as ding anything on the dog's head, Loli will kick your ass, because Loli was a ninja. But actually, let's get back to Ukraine. So the cluster munitions discussion. When was it now? 3 nights ago, I watched one of the attacks come down, and off in the distance saw compounded munitions of some sort. Now, from my distance, which is about 5 kilometers out from that Novopostia, it's basically like a big postal service depot. So all of you Americans know the U.S. Postal Service is not a military operation. Even if you so much as shift one servo battery in the thing for a drone, that does not make it a military dual function anything. But the bigger thing is that that cluster munition was fired into civilian, heavily populated areas. It was civilians who filmed it up close. So I didn't even so much as touch that video until multiple outlets, including United 24, had published. Look what happened right here. And more importantly, specific friends we have here in Kyiv that I know personally posting closer video like, holy shit, look what happened outside. That's a lot of devastation to be throwing into a community, which means, according to laws of war, essentially you've forfeited the proportionality. It sucks that we have to say it that way, but it's been lost in the flattening of the war abroad. It's been lost in conventional mainstream newspapers and mainstream television. And I watch them. I read those things 30 times a day. I am constantly refreshing RBC, New Voice, Kyiv Post, Euromaidan, all the stuff in Ukraine, Ukrainska Pravda, and then BBC, Guardian, Politico EU, all of it, all day long. And it's no one touches these topics in that way. The top headline will be massive barrage of missiles hits Kyiv, shortage of air defense. Okay, that's a good title. That's a very straight to the point thing on one level. But it still flattens it. Not al-Baghdadi just ordered max executions of all Christians in Yazidi camps. Okay. Oh my God, Islam! Like, people fucking lost their shit over ISIS and black flags, and they don't give a fuck about the one that has an Olympic team. Go for it, Shaun. It's all yours. I'm going to just relax. Go ahead.
I wrote an article this week saying, when can we use the G word? When can we use the G word?
Genocide. Terrorism and genocide are appropriate.
I mean, it's been going on since 2022, and Mariupol and Kherson this week with the drone attacking a greengrocer who's just earning his just trying to survive in a town that's under a drone siege. I mean, at what point do we use the word genocide? We shouldn't be too scared of using it now. I mean, it's they just want to make these cities uninhabitable. They want to kill everything in their path.
Right.
Russia's a virus. There's a cancerous virus that wants to kill everything and destroy everything, saving the Russian speakers. I mean, it's pretty much killing the predominantly Russian speakers.
She didn't want any fucking Russian control. So
it's just bizarre that nobody's saying anything, and you've got Trump who's trying to whitewash it all. Kash Patel going over to Russia. You've got absolute, without a doubt, the Trump administration is trying to whitewash these war crimes to get business deals done, and that's really, really worrying. Because when people were,
do you think Witkoff? Well, do you think Witkoff and those guys would want to go do like, the Fallujah resort with ISIS?
No, I think Russia's got more in common with ISIS. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. But I mean, they have no problem going up to a genocidal, rapist, terrorist regime that kills Christians, that kills Muslims, that kills everybody. Like, those missiles don't suddenly not hit the Christian community and only hit like the particular Christians that are evil because they're Democrats. It doesn't do that. or
Yeah.
only the transgender people who are changing our tradition. It doesn't do that. It kills anyone in those buildings,
Did you see how quick
including people
the
who speak
cluster
Russian.
munitions in Kyiv, Russia fired cluster munitions? Straight away you could tell it was. It wasn't secondaries, it wasn't, pop-offs, it wasn't secondary explosions or anything like that. They were cluster munitions they fired to Kyiv, 2 days ago. How quick was that? Did that get anywhere? Did that resonate anywhere? I mean, no. I mean, that's
Right.
killing civilians in the city, in the capital city. Everything is being hushed over, from the North Koreans. I sound like one of those conspiracy theorists, but where do you see anything written about North Korea? Where do you see anything about the government saying anything about North Korea's involvement in Russia now, and it's North Korean ballistics that are coming into Ukraine, into Europe? Where do you see any of that? You don't. You don't see any of it. What happened about the crater and the cruise missile, Russian cruise missile that went into Poland? Just we are so weak. We are so weak in Europe, and you know Trump's. I don't know where he sits with it. It frustrates me. It gets me so annoyed when people say he changed. And I said I've jotted down everybody
Ugh.
who said that, who thought that, and already you know we've had walkbacks on Patriot licensing. We've had 400 million pushed back to you know 2029. We've got a watered down killer sanctions, which is probably by the time it gets through going to be slightly problematic sanctions. You know, I mean, it's just you know we need a goal. We need at least 2 goals, if you know what I mean. We just need something. Oh, you
This
found a
is
video.
showing.
It's showing. Yeah, it's cluster munitions hitting.
Yeah, that's from our view. Here's up close for you. Exactly
Yeah,
the
that's
same thing.
crazy. So it just doesn't get. Um, why is nobody saying anything? We need to start talking to people and getting to our MPs and asking these questions and writing to you know our congressmen and congresswomen about this sort of what on earth is going on. You know, why is nobody even mentioning genocide? You know, that's
Right.
where we're at. When 25,000 women and
And you know,
children.
speaking of children, young children, when I say young people, like 3 to 4 years old, they get into school, instead of learning, you know, the beginnings of, you know, formal education as we would have learned it without war, they have little signs inside their
Oh,
school that are where munitions go and don't go, you
yeah.
know? Yeah, take your time.
Can you still hear me?
I hear you fine, yeah.
Ah, good. I
Just
just
we'll
lost the
wait for
picture
it to
again on
yeah,
my side. 2
we'll
seconds.
wait for it to come back in. But in the school, just for
Bear
the
with.
viewers, the children and I saw this in Chernihiv, I've seen it in Kyiv, Kharkiv, and Mykolaiv, where children have these posters that they see that say, if you
No,
see,
just
I don't have anything that's like a toy here, but like if you see these types of things, you know, be very careful. You might be picking up a munition, you know, so don't touch anything you
yeah.
don't know is already yours. And you know, that's not really what they should be having to think about, obviously. And then the second part is that um, one of the missile attacks that hit the other day had left a huge crater in the community, not too far from here, and where we actually had a double tap story out of that as well, losing one of our combat medics and rescuers. And within a day or so, with a kind of a sunset, pleasant view, you have someone walking by with their like barely 1 year old in front of this huge crater from a rocket, and it became like instant video fodder for getting the attention of what's wrong. That children shouldn't have to be normalized that. And really, this audience is way too savvy to take up time saying this, but you know what it's like online, that you have the, "What about Gaza? And what about," like, something about some other area as if
Oh,
this isn't happening, and no one here, like, I know Shaun really well, no one here is like, "Oh my god, this is the only thing happening," and I mean, this is where we live. We're not going to get it from where we're at and go run off somewhere because we're not like on tourist, like war tourist vacation mode. This is where we live. So the issue is that it's happening here. The issue is it can be stopped. Russia can be defeated. I've done a lot of the work on what it takes. We just don't have the political will, and that's why Russia uses its active measures to this very day. It's reflexive control, whatever you want to call it in modern terms, um, to basically keep the policymakers in the West frozen because they know the real military would fucking beat the shit out of the Russian Federation military. No problem. Absolutely, it would be decisive, very easy. But if you can control the political will, control the mindset, and the will to action, you win. You keep winning. And I don't mean that they've won or lost. Don't use those terms too easy. You're winning when you can keep your adversary staring at their navel, arguing with each other instead of getting things done, and not being effective on the battlefield.
Yeah,
Trump's,
I agree.
yeah.
I think
Martin says we need NATO, and Trump has also weakened NATO. Did you catch what Zelensky said? And continue with what you're saying, but I just want to put that on the board. That Zelensky addressed NATO. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I mean, Putin, let's not forget, he's under so much pressure at the moment, more pressure than I've ever seen in my lifetime. I mean, he's getting it off both barrels from the public. We've seen all those videos, despite all the laws that he's brought in himself about the reporting of Ukrainian successes. They were on YouTube and Telegram, and more than ever, you're seeing those videos come up of a disgruntled Russians. Whether they do it is another thing. One thing Ukraine's been really good at is understanding that Russians don't really give a shit that they've just massacred 25,000 people in Mariupol, women and children. What they really concerned about is whether they can't fill up their cars or they can get their lip fillers from wild berries. You take that away from them and they're going to kick up a fuss. Take away given their everyday life, and that's had more of an impact. And Putin's own goal was just throttling Western apps. I mean, that was a massive own goal that's caused a lot of problems with bloggers, and even they're talking about possible friction for Putin. And you have to listen to that because of the laws he's brought in and how strict control is over the internet. Especially now that they might mobilize people, they want to know who's talking about what and who's saying what. For people to even suggest these sorts of things is pretty big because we didn't see that 2-3 years ago. It was the Nazis and saving the Russian speakers, and the Russian propaganda had swagger. That swagger's gone. Now it's fighting fires, literally.
The losses are too important to make silly comparatives, but I do have one that when you were describing that reminded me. So I was a tiny kid in school, and we were in a wrestling class. This was like 7th grade, and the tallest kid in the school, Julian, awesome fellow by the way, still friends with him. 6'6" something. I mean, Julian was the basketball. I mean, even if he didn't play basketball, you would assume he did. He's that big. And it's Chris versus Julian. And I thought, how unfair. I'm sorry, Julian. I hate to bring this up in front of all of our friends, but do you remember penning me and getting that win? No, you do not remember getting that win because that did not happen. Because no matter how big Julian was and how superior in every way, I had him pinned really good at one point, but he's so big, man, that fucking leg. All he had to do was just stretch, and I just didn't have enough me to keep him pinned, but I got the pin. What he didn't get with the little guy was the pin, and that's a loss. So why I said this, there are ways in which we are perceiving this where, and you and I correctly said that you don't mitigate the death, the resources necessary to continue fight on Ukrainian side. But why Russia is losing in the morphing sense, it's still happening, right? So it's not done or over. It could change, is because it can't win. And it's this far into it. You're supposed to have won by now. Sun Tzu explicitly stated, never launch a land war in Central Asia. No, actually, that wasn't the line. That's from a movie. He sort of did say that. But he said, never launch a war you don't already know the outcome. You have to know that outcome before you start anything, because what did Sun Tzu understand? That the king called him up to save his fucking ass, not understand the cost of human life. Sun Tzu understood the resource of human frailty was the number one resource. And the sovereign, as he would have referred to it loosely, um, need to understand that, because once you expend that resource, you can't bring it back. You don't get to remobilize from no life. You have to have life. Second thing he said that's important is, and you and I started this with a conversation that I still harp on it from a Sun Tzu point, is you never want to have double the ox cart distance. In other words, like you want to go one to fight your war. If you have to take an ox cart in an ox cart to go, you're too far from home fighting your fight. That's true for invading foreign territory. And both of those problems continue to be true for Russia, because Russia can't tame a country that doesn't want to be tamed.
Yeah, it's just the beginning. And I would go as far as to say as well that Putin doesn't want you talking about the land corridor. He doesn't want you talking about Crimea. He doesn't want you talking about all his frailties and his problems he's having at home, his manning, his mobilization. He doesn't want you talking about that. What better way to stop people talking about that? I'm going to bomb Kiev and I'm going to use North Korean missiles. It could be that he's really struggling. So that's what he wants to do. And that's what Putin and Russia do extremely well. He wants you to think that they're very good at projecting strength when they don't actually have any. Look at where we're at today. A 3-day
That's the Sun Tzu method.
When 4.5 years in.
Project strength when you're weak, and organization when you're disorganized, and feign weakness and feign organization when you're ready to strike. So we see a lot of these things that have. Oh, by the way, thank you to someone who gifted me a YouTube membership to Rick the Ukrainian, our wonderful Rick the Ukrainian.
Lovely.
Yeah. I want to thank everyone who's been with us tonight. And again, we are integrating some tools. So welcome, Shaun, to OBS and your really good image, and we'll work out our bugs. And we have a lot of good interviews coming. So again, on Monday nights, we have Terrell Starr. On sometime over the weekend, Shaun and I will come talk to you guys. And Shaun and I were talking about going to Zaporizhia and doing some other things. So I want all of our viewers to understand there's a big difference between the other content makers and what we're doing. I appreciate the content makers here. We have experts who take a lot of their experience and bring it directly to you. We do value that. On the other hand, we're here to meet needs of people you don't know, people you want to know and know about. And because we're here, we're more than willing to dynamically work with you. But your ability to help us is really, really needed on both Shaun's side and my side for paid subscriptions. And if you can do anything behind the scenes for any type of support, if it's a financial thing, that's fine. PayPal, Venmo, all that stuff. But it's also maybe if you have a camera you're not using, a microphone, something you're not using in that capacity, work with me and Shaun. We'll get that together. Because, for instance, if someone has a camera that I don't have to go buy a camera, okay, that's money we don't have to spend. That's someone that happened to have a good little 4K camera that was perfectly good. Let me know. Microphones and all that stuff. And we have a lot of stuff here. We are losing the information footprint slowly. And we cannot win this war by having less than that. As one of the New Voice slogans says, New Voice Ukraine, if you don't know, it's a news outlet. It says, the funding the army is not the only part of the fight. I completely agree with that. Those are colleagues also running like RBC, Kyiv Independent, etc. They're doing the same thing. And if those get drowned out, like losing Media Center Ukraine last week is gutting me. I'm still not over it. But there was no funding, And so good news is some things will grow from that. Even better news is that they know me. They know Shaun. They met Shaun. Shaun, you were there for the last briefing. And we're not done yet. So one of the things we're going to propose is at least the monthly Kyiv discussion forums, where I will invite POW families or individuals to come here to the studio or somewhere, and we will make sure that those voices that do not have Ukraine Media Center now as an outlet will have Shaun and I. but we need your help to do that, just like we didn't have with the others. No offense to Alina and all those who ran that. They were beautiful. They have a lot of people on staff. We don't have a lot of people on staff. We're just trying to get the job done. If we get good funding, we will have more people on staff.
Loki will be 3, and I've got a new chief executive station manager who works with my wife when she does all the lighting and stuff. So yeah,
she's fantastic.
We keep going. We keep going. But look, we've upgraded. We've got better quality pictures. We've got a few kinks to iron out, and that's largely down to you guys for supporting us and helping us to keep going. So thank you very much.
Well, let's talk about the budget for a minute. So you got a lot of upgrades between this week and last week. How much was the bill?
A lot. It's a lot. I had to do speaking jobs in Portugal.
This is what you had to buy. You had to buy your converter, so that was like $35. Actually, that's a good way to talk about it. We should talk about that. So in order to have this better image, Shaun had to throw out $35, I think, something like that.
All the mic you see here, all the bits. And
yeah. Make sure the other man doesn't have to worry about that. But also, we work as a team so that he gets high-end production. And why? Because we like you.
Well, we need it. We need to look at what we're competing against. RT, all those bloggers and propagandists.
The bloggers.
You know, Tucker Carlson. You know, we're competing. Whatever way we look at it, we are competing against that high-end Tim Port, even though he might have changed his tune. Laura Loomis, who's changed her tune, but look at that. Look at what they've got to work with, and look at what we've got to work with. And we're the country
like this.
We're on the front lines, you know.
I made an analogy about this with someone, and I said, "Okay, so you have a promoter, and you give them the job that says, okay, I need you to pack that stadium, and I have 2 artists for you," and they're like, "Okay." I have Taylor Swift, okay, and I have Philip Glass. And the promoter's like, "Dude, Taylor Swift, of course." Right. Now the one who doesn't get picked yet, we're just going to execute them because we won't need them anymore. Whoa, no. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait. Did Philip Glass suddenly become useful to you or something? In other words, like, no offense to Taylor Swift or any of that stuff, because the Swifties will come after me, and I'm not afraid of anybody. But I can say that when it comes to quality, we know that things like Philip Glass are not going to be the world's big ubiquitous flavor, or Brian Eno or someone. But if you said, if you don't, they won't exist. Oh shit. Yeah, I don't think I want that world. We need those things that are a little different when the rest of it sort of takes care of itself. And back years ago when I was in the retail market of music, I said, why does anyone go out and pitch Michael Jackson? That shit pitches itself. You need to have, and I always knew these things that if you like that, you're going to love these 3 artists that you never heard of. This is how you make more money. This is how you make a great music store. Michael Jackson will sell itself. Prince, like this was the year Tupac died. So you need to know the thing that goes with that, so that the thing that sells itself, you don't work for, and you work that other little niche. That's what information warfare here is like too. CNN, BBC will all cover something, okay? But you, the great viewers out there, need to make good distinctions between stuff that talks about Ukraine and stuff that informs you about Ukraine. Those are 2 completely different things. I see a lot of military kind of like generic YouTube channels that are like predicting the outcome of Crimea today, and it's all AI voiced. It claims there's an actual writer behind it, and that's fine. But man, they're pretty well done. Okay, I will admit, but they're.
I got something about it. Aiden came over. Aiden
absolutely.
Aiden came over yesterday. He works in intelligence here, and he was watching this blogger. I can't name him because it's everyone's going to know who it is. And he was watching this blogger talking about operations that were going on in his patch in Zat, and he just went, "I sat there. I'm running it." He said it was a load of bollocks. He said it was a load of bollocks. Exactly. He said, I sat there watching this thing on this thing, and he's pulling up all these maps, and he's saying this is going on there. And he said, it was absolute gutting. I was just, and that was yesterday. He's going, I just can't believe some of the shit that's out there with people commentating from, other parts of the world. who are anticipating what's going on here from, another country. And he's running the show going, what a load of garbage. It's like...
let me go a little further with that, because that's perfect. There was a guy that I met at one of our POW rallies who is not very social media oriented, and caught on very quickly. He was American. We go to have coffee and sit down for lunch. And he was very informed about what the Western MilSec talk was in pro-Ukraine crowd. He goes, I'm not going to get in the way of anything they say. I kind of like that they're wrong. It's useful for what I do.
Yeah.
I like you, whoever he is. Yeah, I'm going to hang out with you all the time. Because I told him it was about 3 or 4 months previously, someone said, I wish we had more Bradleys, and I had just seen a load of Bradleys go by within only 2 weeks of that time. So I do recognize there are things that do happen you don't know about, and that's not always bad. What is vital is that when we have things we know you do need to know about, that we can reliably get them to you and say, please, go call Congress, go call your MP, whatever your various representatives' titles would be, and say, we need more action to return POWs in captivity now who have been severely injured, who have been abandoned after 4 years of torture and captivity. And I need you to tell me what you're going to do, please, Mr. or Mrs. MP, representative person. I need to know what actually, because I'm not smart enough as a constituent. Maybe you know what you can do. Hi, Reuters. I'm a regular reader, and I'm not seeing anything about POWs in Ukraine. And then you guys report back your ingenious ideas of how you did something we can't possibly think of because we're out of ideas. Right, Shaun?
Right. Don't be scared to use genocide. Keep to people. Tell the world what Russia is, and we'll try and keep going with that. It's amazing you're here. We got like 90 people, and we really fluffed up the timings, and we're ironing out some glitches, and we still got 90 people, which is great.
That's right.
So thank you very much.
Very dedicated audience, and we appreciate you again. Please consider any subscription is great. Paid subscriptions help us get things done and involve you. You can message us. Both of us have the chat groups for Voices from the Front and the Wiretap, and we really appreciate you. Shaun, big love to you, brother. Stay safe. We'll see you shortly.
See you later. Good night, everybody. Героям слава.
І піздець Російській Федерації.